Power doesn't need loyalty, it needs usefulness. And you made yourself useful by sharpening systems, tightening rules, narrowing mercy until it barely fit through the door. You spoke in policy language, but what you built wasn't policy, it was pressure. Pressure on bodies, on families, on communities, on people who never signed up to be symbols of your war ideas. You don't shout, you calculated. You didn't swing fists, you drafted frameworks. And that's how the worst damage is often done. Quietly, professionally, with a pen instead of a weapon. You learned how to argue realty into submission, how to make suffering sound procedural, how to turn fear into the workplace. You called it order. You called it sovereignty. You called it security. But you were really building was a machine that eats people and calls it efficiency. Not applause, not gratitude, not protection. You will be left with the architecture of what you've created and nowhere to hide from it. Because the systems you designed to be ruthless will eventually turn on you too. That's what systems do. They don't care who wrote them. They only care that they function. You will be remembered not only for your arguments, but for their consequences. Not for your loyalty, but for what that loyalty erased. Not for your intellect, but how you used it. And when the curtain falls, and when the speeches stop, when the access disappears, and the man you orbit around moves on, and he will, you will discover something deeply inconvenient. You were never the center of power. You were an instrument, and instruments are replaceable. The future doesn't need villains, it needs accountability. It doesn't need slogans, it needs records. And one day, the language you use to justify harm will be read back to you, not as brilliance, but as evidence. That's what waits. Not vengeance, not spectacle. Exposure. And exposure, for Stephen Miller, is a very quiet kind of hell.